Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SCREENY. Saturday Night Live has been going for a really long time, so we've got a lot of material to cover here. Each episode brings up something new and hilarious, although at times it's also ill-advised. When it comes to crossing the line, SNL takes a running leap and gives it the finger in midair. That's why we love it. Join us as we take a look at the 10 most controversial sketches on SNL. Before we begin, do us a favor by clicking that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a video on your favorite TV shows. Number 10. Chevy Chase and the N-word.
Throw you out a few words, anything that comes to your mind, just throw it back at me, okay? Just kind of an arbitrary thing, like if I said dog, you'd say tree.
Chevy Chase is quite a controversial actor, known for being difficult to work with and allegedly racist. When he appeared on the show way back when, he starred in a skit with guest host Richard Pryor. It was set up to look like an interview with the two sat in a little office. As the chat gets underway, they decide to play a word association game. It starts out nice and clean, but soon turns to racial slurs, which becomes worse as the game goes on. In the end, Chase blurts out the N-word. They both settle down and manage to continue on with the interview, with the punchline being the awkward conversation that ensues afterward. There is no way that it would be shown on our screens these days. It simply wouldn't happen. Even then, it ruffled a few feathers, with some viewers deeming it offensive and inappropriate. We can't say we blame them. It's certainly a shocker. The skit was written by Pryor's close friend, Paul Mooney. Number 9. DJESUS Uncrossed. When it comes to movie making, there are few better at it than Quentin Tarantino. The director extraordinaire knows how to push buttons with his work, while also delivering a great piece of cinema. Some of his movies are so iconic that they've been parodied far and wide, including on SNL. One of Tarantino's stock actors, Christopher Walsh, acted as a guest host a few years ago, and he didn't fail to deliver. In fact, he went above and beyond and managed to anger pretty much every Catholic or Christian viewer out there. In a skit called DJESUS Uncrossed, Walsh told the story of Jesus' resurrection like it was a Tarantino movie. Plenty of violence and plenty of hilarious yet inappropriate jokes. It was a moment not to be missed, so if you haven't seen it, then hunt it out. You won't be disappointed. Unless you're super religious, that is. Then you'll probably hate it. Needless to say, the writers got a little backlash for this one, but deemed it totally worth it. Number 8. Governor David Paterson.
Taxi!
Governor. Governor, you're inside.
I know, I'm just kidding, Seth.
Politicians are probably the most parodied people in the public eye. They just ask for it. Most of them are full of empty promises, and some of them even think they're geniuses when all they want to do is build walls. Not naming any names, of course. With that being said, it's not surprising that SNL often takes aim at those in power. New York Governor David Paterson got it worse than most when Fred Armisen began impersonating him during the Weekend update segments. However, they mocked him for being partially blind. Armisen often looked into the wrong camera or walked into the frame after his part was over. It's hardly a shocker that Paterson was really offended by the off-color jokes, and he wasn't the only one. The blinds community got fully behind him, critiquing SNL for poking fun at disabled people. It was an awkward spot to be in, but the SNL actors are used to it by now. Paterson did later see the funny side though, appearing on the show to make fun of himself. No harm, no foul, right? Number 7. Father-daughter ad.
You be careful, okay?
Dad, it's just ISIS.
It's been a rocky road the last few years. Back in the 90s, the world was worried about Al-Qaeda, but now the view is on ISIS. The organization isn't necessarily something that should be mocked, but since when did SNL have any qualms about going where others fear to tread? 50 Shades of Grey actress Dakota Johnson was at the helm as guest host for this episode, which saw her star in the father-daughter ad. Playing a young woman being sent off to college, Johnson wishes her father, played by Taron Killam, a tearful goodbye. But instead of getting on her plane, she gets picked up by a car full of men in masks holding big guns. She's not going to college, she's joining ISIS. Daddy Dearest tells the men to take care of her as he waves her off like she's going to come back a lawyer. People were really rattled by this one, with some viewers refusing to watch SNL again. For some, it was a little too close to home. Number 6. Amy's gun.
Guns.
You like it?
Unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that there's been a lot of controversy over guns in America lately, and for good reason. Amy Schumer is known for being a lobbyist for gun control, so she was the perfect host for this skit. The ad's parody shows Amy going for America's obsession with guns under the premise as an emotional commercial. In one scene, she's on a date with a guy when they start caressing each other's faces with guns. Hardly what you'd want over a romantic meal, right? Some viewers thought it was Schumer doing what she does best, aka pushing buttons and offending people, while others thought it was in bad taste. The actress probably wanted to poke some fun at organizations like the NRA, especially after a gunman wreaked havoc during a screening of one of her movies not too long ago. It's definitely an important subject that needs to be discussed seriously, so maybe SNL thought they could help spread the word. Number 5. Leslie Jones's rant.
See, I'm single right now, but back in the slave days, I would have never been single. I'm 6 feet tall and I'm strong, Colin, strong!
Pete Davidson might be the king of the weekend's update of late, but Leslie Jones used to reign supreme. The star found her niche on SNL doing the popular segment, but she divided audiences. Some loved her incredibly honest, no-holds-barred attitude, while others thought she was way too domineering. Jones got herself into hot water once by saying she would have been the ideal slave that plantation owners would have picked for breeding.
Every 9 months, I'd just be in the corner, just popping them out, just Shaq, Kobe, LeBron.
The audience may have been howling at the time, but the quip would come back to haunt her when she launched her Hollywood career. Around the time that she starred in the reboot of Ghostbusters, media outlets dug up that particular segment. Twitter users called her a disgrace, while others lambasted her for making light of slavery. TMZ did a poll that saw 80% of users call the skit hilarious, with only 20% dubbing it offensive. Still, that 20% were awfully vocal about it. Jones later said that it was more to do with her being a woman, and that if the likes of Chris Rock had said it, they would have never received the same backlash. Number 4. Heroin AM. Who doesn't love laughing about drug addiction, right? We're just kidding. It's not actually a funny subject, but SNL gave it their best shot. America is plagued by drug issues, so it was only right that the cast came up with a way to pay homage to the crisis. The result? Another advertisement parody that was, honestly, sort of genius. In the US, there are a lot of commercials about medications as you have to pay for it. In the UK, where they have national health care, you don't get that sort of nonsense popping up on the screen. SNL writers decided to film a fake ad for Heroin AM, a type of medication that soccer moms just swear by to get them through the day. Guest host Julia Louis-Dreyfus was at the helm as the film told the positive effects of the drug in a totally sarcastic way. Some viewers were triggered by the episode and said it wasn't a subject to be made entertaining, while others praised the gang for bringing the epidemic into the conversation. What do you think? Number 3. Uncle Roy. Buck Henry doesn't quite have the same claim to fame as some of SNL's other guest hosts. Usually, they're mainstream actors who do it for the novelty, and it helps to bring viewers in. Henry participated in several episodes of SNL, most famously playing creepy Uncle Roy, a babysitter who watched his two nieces. He had a very strange relationship with them, to say the least.
What am I?
Too good to be true.
It was enough to make people feel edgy and uncomfortable then. Could you imagine the outrage if it ever aired today? It simply wouldn't get past the censors, and for a good reason. There are some things that are best left in the past, and some lines that you just don't cross. No one really wants to watch a comedy like that, do they? Henry has defended the character in recent years, but it didn't do much good. You can't really defend anything like that, especially by saying Uncle Roy and his nieces loved each other very much. Awkward. Number 2. Canteen Boy.
All your problems just sort of fade away.
What do you get when you put Alec Baldwin and Adam Sandler together? One heck of a mess. In the 90s, the actors crossed paths on SNL to film one of the most controversial sketches ever televised, regardless of the show. Baldwin played a scoutmaster who took a liking to Sandler's character of Canteen Boy. The audience watched on in horror as Baldwin made brazen advances towards Sandler beside a campfire, hugging him closely, whispering sweet nothings into his ear, and even taking his shirt off. You have to have a dark sense of humor to get down with this sketch. If you don't, you're just going to find it bizarre and completely unfunny. NBC received tons of complaints about this one. Honestly, it's a miracle it's even made it onto our screens. But it looks like SNL has a get-out-of-jail-free card when it comes to how far they can push the envelope. Number 1. Rosetta Stone Tie. Rosetta Stone sells people kits so they can learn different languages, usually with quite the over-the-top advertisements. It was only a matter of time before SNL jumped on board with that one. The gang decided to do another ad parody, this time making it about a group of creepy men who wanted to learn Thai so they could visit the country and do some dirty dealings, if you catch our drift. Basically, they wanted to know how to talk to male workers of the adult kind, and Rosetta Stone was going to help them. Interestingly enough, Thailand's got wind of the skit and demanded that it be erased from the internet. The cultural minister said that it would be damaging to tourism, which is a pretty big leap. If anything, they might get more tourists, and Rosetta Stone might get more business too. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos on your favorite TV shows, and tap one of the 2 videos on screen for another amazing video.